Welcome back, everyone. Part two of our podcastinar with Jason Ulibarri and the Six Figure Agency.
Yeah, guys, I'm excited about part two just to kind of get to know what he's talking about a little bit more.
Yep, absolutely. So definitely come check us out. But first, if you missed day one, part two, or if you missed part one, I can talk. Go back to yesterday and listen to that first, and then come join us today.
Yep, and we will be streaming day one on YouTube today, right?
That's right. Podcast goes live on the show first, then the day after comes to YouTube. So without further ado, let's get to it. Have you ever wondered how highly successful entrepreneurs think?
So did we. So we asked hundreds of entrepreneurs a very simple question. If they had perfect hindsight, what advice would they give themselves?
I am Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool.
Join us on our journey implementing and sharing all of our learnings while we hack our hindsight along with our guest hindsight to give us all better foresight.
Listen along the way as we find and unlock their secrets that made them successful through hidden traffic, joint ventures, and much, much more. This is Hindsight Hacking.
All right, guys, welcome back. So super excited to be back to Hindsight Hacking, guys. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to jump right in. I know yesterday I left you on the cliffhanger on the very first secret on how to get your first high-paying client, even if you don't have any money. Well, we're going to jump right in, okay? Head first. So some people think they have this mindset, right? It's impossible to acquire your first client without any money, and they end up never taking action because of it, right? Like they're always waiting for this perfect opportunity to happen. It's never presented itself. It will never present itself, so it never happens, right? Because everybody wants that perfect moment. So I honestly have to tell you a really quick story on how I got my first high-paying client, guys, because it fell in my lap. It was given to me, okay? Now, I live in a duplex here, nothing fancy. It's a upstairs, downstairs, 2-bedroom. My second bedroom's the office. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's just me. My son's gone now in the Air Force, so I turned his room into my office. And so I was in here, this was back in 2018, and it was the cold season. So the property management company had to come through and do their checkups or whatever for the HVAC, to check the air conditioner heater and make sure it was working. And well, when the tech came in, I recognized him from all the years that being in the plumbing industry. You know, you cross paths with people in plumbing and HVAC. And he recognized me. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And we reintroduced ourselves. And he's like, "Oh, so you don't work at that place anymore?" And I'm like, No, I'm actually doing online marketing now. Yeah, I help businesses. And oh, what do? Like build websites? And I'm like, No, I help businesses get business, not just websites, but yeah, I do all of that. And he's like, interesting. And so the cool thing is that they were this independent company. They're not part of the property management company. They're their own independent company. So obviously small talk ensued, and they asked what I did for a living, and I told them, and we just started to chat. And the interesting aspect of the whole thing was that when I struck a chord with them and I said, "Yeah, I help businesses compete online, right? I help you beat your competition." And he was like, seriously, because in Arizona, I don't know if you know this, but it kind of gets hot here in the summer times. It gets really hot here. So the HVAC market is very competitive. So the second I breathed that word to him, he's like, "Wow, we could use that," right? So the next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, maybe I can introduce you to our boss." And next thing you know, we're having beers, and they're asking me my rates. And again, I didn't really know what I was doing yet, so I kind of just threw a whole bunch of numbers at him, and I was like, "Yeah, here you go." And just like that, they started paying me $2,000 every month, just like that. Boom, here you go. And I'm like, wow, that was easy. I should have charged more. And that was actually one of the things that I said in yesterday's podcast, was that getting your pricing right is one of the most important things. Understand how much you charge for your value, because I probably could have gotten more, but not that I'm shaking a stick at what I did get. The whole point that I'm trying to bring up is the secret that I just went over. You probably missed it. It's so simple and so obvious that nobody ever considers it. It's the most complex secret of all, right? So complicated. Conversations. That's it. Everybody overthinks the aspect of getting clients. They're like, well, you have to go in and you have to pitch them, okay? You have to hold your hand like this and you have to shake your palm like that, and then you have to smile at them, make sure you touch their elbow, you know? Oh, and always be closing, always be closing, always be. I gotta tell you, I've been in sales for 20 years, guys. I'm sick and tired of all of the chaos, okay? Every single success story I've ever had in sales, it's just a relationship. That's it. Conversations. Everyone is so worried about closing and pitching that they don't realize that the best sales pitch is a simple conversation. That's it. That's why that fell in my lap, was because I was willing to talk to somebody. This was the funnel that I built out for them. I kind of want to throw a picture up and show you guys. I know if you're just listening to the podcast, then not really that big of a deal, but a lot of you are probably thinking to yourself though, yeah, but Jason, where do people aren't coming to my house and fixing my AC unit. Where do I have these conversations? Well, guys, there's hundreds, thousands of places to go and have conversations with business owners. Every single one of those business owners, they're online looking for communities to talk to about the problems that they have in their business. Believe me, I have these conversations daily. Facebook groups are growing by the millions. There are groups for anything. Like you pick the niche, there's a Facebook group for it. It's crazy. And there's communities and everything. So you pick your niche and boom, go start having conversations. It's that simple. Not kidding. Just by having simple engagement in a Facebook group, I've had more calls come in just by seriously engaging in Facebook groups than I ever did when I was running ads for my company. Now, trust me, there's people looking for you. I'm kind of getting, I'm going off script here. So I love improvising and I love talking, but believe me, I could talk myself in circles and talk your ear off all day. So I'll avoid doing that. Okay. So you might also be thinking, why would a client pay me high dollar, like high ticket amount up front? Why would they pay me that? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it's a lot easier to convince a client of results over the long term. Let me explain. If you sell a service, that's all they see. But if you sell results, they want the results. So if you give yourself a time frame of how you're going to achieve those results and you walk them through it, they're more likely to cut you a check. Does that make sense? Think about that for a second. If somebody was offering you a service, right? Like to build you a house, they're obviously going to come in and tell you the stages of building that house, right? So you're a little bit more comfortable when they walk you through the process. All right. So building and testing takes time. So what I like to do is I like to break it up into like a 3-month process or a 6-month process. For example, if I'm building and testing a funnel, I'll be like, okay, so it's going to cost about $2,000 a month over the course of 3 months, which is going to be $6,000. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a little parts. I had to take a drink of water here. All right, so building and testing takes time. So what I like to do is I like to tell them, hey, in increments, you're going to pay me installments. $2,000, we're going to do this X in this process, $2,000 in this process, $2,000 in that process. Next thing you know, I have a $6,000 contract, right? And believe me, these contracts can even go, you can stretch them out over the course of a year, especially with search engine optimization. But I'm not going to get into all of that right now because I don't want you to be overwhelmed and feel like this is complicated, because it's not. Okay. Now, you might also be thinking, I don't understand how I'll have time to get my first client because I'm so busy. I have a full-time job, or I'm a full-time dad, or a full-time mom, or I have 2 jobs, or whatever it is. Guys, I get it. Believe me. All it takes is a little bit of time a day. And seriously, a little bit of time management. If you ever log your hours, I did this once, right? Like I logged my hours of everything, every time I did, or every single hour of the day, I logged what I did during that hour. I seriously had an alarm set on my phone. Every time the hour mark would go off, I wrote down what I did. And I could not believe how much time I spent watching TV, right? It was like 3 hours a day watching TV. It wasn't all in one sitting usually, but it was still 3 hours a day. Guys, being active in Facebook groups takes you like 20 minutes a day. All right. Cut out Netflix. It's not that hard. if you're coming up with excuses, remember that's all you're doing. You're coming up with excuses. People that read, okay, so you might also be thinking that people that read your comments. I'm getting so flustered, guys. Sorry, I'm going off script. Like I said that before, but I wanted to back up and go back to engaging in the Facebook groups. Okay, because when I'm engaging inside the Facebook groups, these guys, they come to me. Okay, just by writing my content and my value, because a lot of them want to figure out how to get clients or they want to do this. So if I'm teaching them how to get leads or how to run Facebook ads or what's important, just by engaging in the groups, they contact me, right? Like I said before, I got more clients by just engaging in Facebook groups than I ever got by running ads. So word of advice, make your profile on your Facebook page look as professional as possible. You got to do it. You have to make it look like a business, like you're a business person. So have your cover photo point to like a call calendar where they can schedule a call, because that's awesome too. Having just calls randomly get scheduled on your calendar. I love that.
Jason, you know what I actually took away from that is your Facebook profile and making sure it represents you as the business person you want to be. And the reason I say that is if people are like me, and I have to assume people do similar things, not that they're like me, but they do similar things. Someone friend requests you, right? You don't know who they are. I did this literally 25 minutes ago. I got a friend request. I was like, I don't know who that person is. I go check out their profile.
Yeah.
And I look, right? And it's not all business. There's some things mixed in.
Yeah.
I look at their friends. Do we have mutual friends? Why is this person wanting to be my friend? Right.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and I think it's important, because if I went there and it was, crazy, would I become their friend? Right.
Right. And so like, that's my whole thing, right? It is why this is a huge valuable secret. It's breaking the old set of thinking, the old mindset that you had of you have to have a whole bunch of money to start a business, right? They didn't have these tools of the internet back in the 90s, in the 80s. So you actually had to pay for a giant billboard or television ads, right? You had to back then to start a business because you had to get your name out there. But with resources like this, it's like literally your Facebook page becomes your billboard, right? And that's free advertising for yourself, because there's so many people that are engaging with you in those groups and on Facebook. So you just take advantage of the free resources. Break that mindset that you have to have a whole bunch of money to start a business. No, you don't. You just have to utilize the free stuff that's out there and available for you.
So Jason, how do you talk to those people as you teach this to, like, what about their friends, right? Like, who has that crazy friend that might do something that you wouldn't necessarily want your kids or your business partners to see, right? Like, how do you make sure that, you can have your Facebook profile for the fun stuff it was kind of designed for, as well as the business stuff that many of us are starting to take advantage of?
Yeah. So actually what I did for that was you're not supposed to, because it's actually against the Facebook regulations. So I'm not giving anyone advice, wink, wink. All right.
Wink,
But,
Air
but what I
quotes.
did was I created a second Facebook page. So I actually have one for my personal friends and family, and then I have a business page.
Nice.
The one that I only use for professional stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a personal one and I have a business one.
Yeah.
I've actually kind of blended my personal one, but I still use the business one as well.
Yeah. I stopped using my personal one altogether, man. Like,
Really?
I don't even get on my personal one anymore. I actually have all my friends and family now sending me friend requests on my business one, and I have to like tell them no. I'm like, guys, no, stop sending.
You're not part of the 5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't be on the 5,000.
Business only.
Yeah.
If you're not interested in my services, then I can't have you on here. Yeah.
It's
so
funny,
there's a line that you kind of have to draw.
Right. I never used Facebook like it was, for the social platform that it was made for. And that's in the sense of friends. Like, I had some friends and and I watched what they did, and I enjoyed seeing the pictures of family, but I never engaged. And but
Yeah.
now we're in these Facebook groups, and we are in all these things where people are giving us so much value and teaching us stuff for free, and just making these different connections. Like you and I met through a Facebook group
Yeah.
comment on someone's post. Like, it's so much different, so different
Yeah.
now, and the opportunities are endless because of it.
Yeah. I have this client right now, and this is not a joke, right? So I have a client right now. So you know that I have two businesses here. I have my business where I help businesses, and then I have my business where I teach people how to do what I do. So I give coaching and stuff that I charge for the coaching. Well, one of my clients that came in and wanted to learn how to do my agency, he was looking to start their own agency. That's how we met, but they ended up starting a different business venture. So then they came back and they hired me to help them start their new business. So I thought that was kind of funny, right? I met them one way and then ended up, they hired me for something else. It was kind of funny.
But you added
Very
value.
nice.
You added value. So just like you're doing for the podcast hour, you're giving away secrets. And
That's right. Secret.
I hope everybody loves secret number 1. And I know I personally can't wait for tomorrow to hear about secret number 2.
Yes. Yeah. Secret number 2 tomorrow, guys. You got to tune in for that one, because that's how you can get started right away. No skills necessary. I'll show you how to do it.
All right, everyone. I know if you're at the edge of your seat wishing that we were going through to the rest of the episodes, you don't have to wait. You really can just go hit the link in the notes below.
Yep, it's a shortcut. It is a shortcut. But if you're ready to go, hey, I like what he's talking about. I understand what he's talking about, and I want to put it into play, follow the link.
Okay, but tomorrow we will bring you the conclusion show with Jason to hear the rest about Six-Figure Agency.
Yep. And as always, we want to thank you for being part of the Hindsight Hackers community on podcast and the newly formed YouTube channel.